ground few ground rules that we're going to follow in this session to make it a peaceful and a lively one. So I would request all of you to stay on mute when you're not speaking so that we should not disturb the flow of the session. You may talk about sex, politics, and religion, but not in a derogatory manner. The chat box can be used for any type of questions during the session so that our trainer can accommodate it in the middle or at the last as feasible. Now, to take the session forward, I would like to invite on stage someone very special. And if I start introducing her in a very detailed manner, it's going to take us in this whole session. So I'd like to keep it very short and crisp so that she can take us forward with this session. So she's a bureaucrat by profession and a coach by heart. When she's not in the office, she's giving classes in public speaking, motivational talks to various institutions like the JCB, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, and IIM Calcutta. She has had the privilege for speaking for the President, Srimati Pratibha Patil, and Shri Pranab Mukherjee as the Finance Minister. She has addressed meetings and presided over by finance ministers and World Bank presidents. She has conducted free classes for children of different socio-economic categories, the last which were held in January 2021. She has her YouTube channel by the name of Anusha Khurana and her Instagram account of Anusha Khurana 7. And she also runs a public speaking group on Facebook named as Learning Public Speaking. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, with a huge round of applause, let me welcome on stage distinguished Toastmaster Anusha Khurana. Ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you. And that was not a short one, but thank you so much for that very warm introduction. I have the privilege and I have the honor of welcoming Leighanne Turner. Leighanne, a very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to finally see you. I've been talking to you day in and day out, been chasing you, and now I get to see you. So ladies and gentlemen, Leighanne Turner is somebody who is very, very special, and you're going to soon find out how special she is. Let me begin with a small formal introduction, which tells us a little more about her. Leighanne Turner is a voiceover and a speaking coach whose voice is described as ear candy because it keeps you engaged and edutained. She is into motivational quotes, podcasts, explainer videos, e-learning courses, audiobooks, and radio adverts, something very, very exciting for all of us. As a speaking coach, Leighanne is very much interested in coaching women in the corporate sector to teach them to be more confident, to teach them to be comfortable with themselves, and to face the unique challenges which women face in the corporate sector. You can catch Leighanne teaching a live weekly speaking tips class online, or you can catch Leighanne on her fun-filled, engaging podcast, which I've explored thoroughly, Leighanne's Voice. Welcome, Leighanne. Lovely to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Anusha, for having me today. It's really exciting to speak to you and meet everybody else in the room.
Absolutely. So, Leighanne, people have ventured here from as far as Malaysia, India, London. I think it's a great mix that we have today. Rohit, can we have the spotlighting done in a duplicate fashion?
Duplicate as in?
That both of us are visible.
Yeah.
I can see you, Anusha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I request the audience to do a quick switch on and say a hello to all of us? Can we have the audience? Hi, Sanjeev, Anupam, Monish, Shreya. It's so good to see all of you. And I know a lot of more of you are going to be joining in, 18 of us already here. Okay, so great. Now I'm going to ask one question, after which only we'll put off our videos. What do you think Leighanne has done her master's in? Shreya, can you guess what she's done her master's in? If you read it, you don't have a right to tell us. But if you hadn't, you can guess.
No, I haven't read it.
Then you tell us.
Is it journalism?
Good
Just
guess.
guessing. Okay.
Good guess. Okay, Jitendra, how about you guessing? What has she done her master's in?
Psychology.
You've been reading, Jitendra. You've been
I'm not
reading.
reading. No, I
Okay,
haven't read.
great. She's done her master's in criminology and
Okay.
forensic psychology. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm
with
no,
this,
school.
I request all of you to welcome her with a big round of applause. And at the same time, we'll switch off our videos so that we can have the one-to-one conversation, which we're looking forward to. Okay, Leanne. You know, one of the prettiest things I picked up from your website was, do you use a good hook to draw people into what you are saying? So,
Yeah.
Leanne, what's been your favorite hook to draw people into what you're saying?
Oh, wow, so many. I often always talk about myself. So if I'm doing like my videos for Instagram, I'll start off something like, ladies, don't you hate when you're trying to go for a job which you know you're qualified for, but you never seem to get? So things like that. I'll always try and grab a hook that relates to someone's situation that they're in and also grab their heart, because many people can have that frustration that they're more than qualified for a job, but because of the way they articulate or express themselves, it can often be that's the thing that stops them, not because of their expertise or qualifications to do the job.
Oh, great. So, what's the hook for us? We're a varied audience. So, but you've
Yeah.
got the hook. You already got the hook by coming here itself. We've got the hook. So, then what came to my mind was, do you do voiceover demonstrations regularly? Is it a matter of routine for you?
Yeah, so with me, I do both voiceover and speaking coaching. So my week is split between the two sides of the business. So I'll often be recording an audition for an agency or a client who's asked for something, or I'll be putting stuff up on my, my social media pages. So it's something that I do all the time. I'll always record a batch of stuff and put them out so people can see and hear what I do, how I sound, and things like that.
So,
Yeah.
which is the nicest voiceover you've done, Leanne, which you've enjoyed thoroughly? Would you like to do it with us right now?
Yeah, I can do one that I've done recently. I really like this one. I can read it out for you. Everyone knows Spotify, so the music application. So that one. So the one that I would like to read for you all today is this one. So it says, try Spotify Premium today. Get 1 month free. It's time to take control of your music. No adverts, new music discovery. Over 50 million songs, unlimited skips, exclusive podcasts. Create your own playlists. Let me say it one more time for the people at the back. No adverts. Spotify Premium, just $9.99 a month. So that's one for an example of jobs that I do and book.
Okay. So we're going to get into Spotify through Leanne. We're going to say, Leanne, give us this, and we are there with it. Okay. Leanne, since we are talking of speaking here, who would you rate as the best orators in history? Who would
Wow.
you say that you like or you emulate? Because we've seen your influencers page, you have a variety of people.
Yeah.
But as orators, who would you rate as somebody who's really good?
There are so many. Those that are alive, I would say currently, Barack Obama is very good. The way he expresses himself. His wife is actually even better because she can bring a personal feel and bring you back to that space of the way she describes stuff.
Right.
Matthew McConaughey, the American actor, he's very good and passionate. Denzel Washington. Those that are deceased, I would definitely say Winston Churchill. Very
Yeah.
passionate, very powerful, very clear when he talks. Abraham Lincoln, from what I get from the way the documents are written out, I'd assume that he was quite a great speaker. Nelson Mandela, very clear, very passionate, very direct, and quite an authoritative tone in what he said as well. And a modern day woman I actually quite like the way she expresses herself, is Joanna Lumley, one of the great British actresses, and Dame Judi Dench as well. So those are some of them that I often listen to. Their delivery is very clear. You know where they're going. You're not lost. You hear every single word.
Okay. Do you emulate any of them? Do you try to, or do you think Leighanne is Leighanne, so there is no mimicking?
Well, both. Leighanne is Leighanne, so there is no imitating, but I am heavily influenced by the smoothness of how Joanna Lumley speaks. I sound nothing like her. I just love the way she speaks. I like Dame Judi Dench because she's very clear and concise when she speaks or when she acts. I like to take a bit of everything. So there's nothing new under the sun, obviously, but I'm heavily influenced by the way how they express themselves, how they give feelings and stories and bring you back to that space. So imitate their technique for sure. Their sound, no, I'll always sound like me, but their techniques of how they bring you back to storytelling, bring the emotion and the tears and the happiness and the joy, and even like Michelle Obama describes when she does her audiobook, like the barbecue smell, things like that. So imitate the technique for sure.
That's the beautiful lesson we were looking for. Pick up the techniques, but retain your style because you are you. Absolutely. So, Leighanne, from here, I branch off to another question, which the audience definitely wants to know. How does one emulate a confident individual, or very simply, how does one become confident in life today?
Yeah, it definitely starts from, there's a number of different factors we can go into. It could be like nurture, nature, all of your upbringing, but forgetting all of that, it starts off with your mindset. That's where confidence starts from, your mindset. So you need to know, trust, and believe that in your mind that you can do this interview, go for this job, speak to this person. You need to believe in your own mind that you can do it. And many people suffer from, it's called claustrophobia, which is a posh word for maybe imposter syndrome, where sometimes claustrophobia is you've got a fear of speaking to people in public. Then other people as well have imposter syndrome, where they are put into a situation where they need to go and do a training interview. And a lot of it's happening on camera now. And then they're like, oh no, people don't want to hear me. Oh no, I'm not qualified. Oh no, I don't sound good. So all these negative voices come into your head to say you should not speak. But there's ways you can conquer claustrophobia, the fear of speaking in public, and ways you can conquer imposter syndrome as well. But it takes time. Give yourself patience. And it's a day by day effort you need to make so that you can build confidence. Building confidence is like a house. Put in the foundations, put in the walls, put in the windows, put in the roof. It's one, and then you've got to maintain it. Anyone who's got a home, you've got to maintain it. So confidence is something you need to build like a house and maintain daily.
So what's the foundation for confidence? Is there any one trick, any one technique which you would say that, yes, this would be a starter, a starting point for confidence?
Mm-hmm. So there's many things you can use. Some that I do with my friends is that I'll ask them to say out loud, I can speak, I sound interesting, I've got an engaging voice, I am confident. So reading out some mantras and things like that, or even if that doesn't feel quite comfortable, because you've got to do what works for you, I'll ask them to read out a page according to like, instrumental music, so they can sound upbeat and hear themselves, because some people are just not used to hearing their own voice. And then just really believing, so doing a lot of kind of mind shift work, so moving from an imposter to being the person who's in the right position. So a lot of it could be reading out loud, reading positive words, and lots of practice, being comfortable with saying your own words out loud, making up your own words and just talking, being comfortable with your voice. Because some people may say, I hate the sound of my voice. You actually don't. You're just not used to hearing your voice twice, because you actually hear your own voice twice. Once inside in the delicate inner ears, and then outside auditory once it's passed through the sound waves. So that's why people say, I don't like the sound of my voice, because you're not used to hearing it in that way.
So reading positive stuff, reading it out loud, and being comfortable with the sound of your own voice is something which might ring a bell for many of us. And that's something we can do for starters, Leighanne. Leighanne, tell me something. Mark Twain says that there are only two kinds of speakers in the world. You must have heard this. Those who are nervous and those who are liars. But I feel there is a line somewhere in between. Do you feel nervous when you come on to a stage where you will be engaged in public speaking, not, as you said, the Pythagoras theorem, but something which you are comfortable with?
If I feel nervous, I think I'd agree. Like, yeah, nerves are good. Never think that nerves are not good. Nerves kind of keep you on your toes. It helps the adrenaline to run. So I like a bit of nerves, but you need to be the master over the nerves. So you be always in control. So I love nerves. It's great because it makes you feel like, okay, I'm going to really give my best. But I've always got to be the master over my nerves. And like Mark Twain said, they're either nervous or liars. Yeah, some people can be a mixture of both and they don't even know they're lying to themselves. So definitely I'd give props to that quote too. Mm-hmm.
Right. So linked with this is the Amy Cuddy theory of fake it till you make it, right?
Mm.
And I don't subscribe to the words she's used because I think it's a beautiful theory where she says, be confident and you will become confident.
Mm-hmm.
But she says it in the way of faking it. So what's
Yeah.
your take on that theory? What's the practical output of that theory?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched her TED talk, Amy Cuddy and stuff, and I relate to some of the stuff she says. So the thing, fake it till you make it. I mean, I'm not quite comfortable with the word fake it because why are you faking it for? Just be, because life is too short, you know. So the term be present or be confident means it's a present situation, it's a present tense word. So you don't have to fake it with all of these kind of things. Just be who you are because you're only here for one life. So why are you going to fake and pretend to be and someone else in this life? It doesn't quite make sense. But I get what she's saying, like to kind of imagine it, fake it, etc. But I'm not too comfortable. I'm honest to myself, so I don't need to be fake to anybody else. So I hear where she's coming from, the premise, but I think be you because there's only one you. So that's
True.
who you should be. So why
Beautiful.
pretend to be somebody else? That part doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Okay, we take a short 1 minute break. If anybody wants to ask a question, I'll ask them to intersperse here. Shreya, would you like to ask any question? Or Rohit already is there. Shreya, any question from your side from what Leanne's already told us?
Yeah, just one question. How do you practice being more assertive without being disrespectful? Like, do you have any tips on that? Supposing you disagree with someone in your workplace, but you want to put your point across without sounding disrespectful. So just any tips on that?
Yeah. So in the workplace, you've got to be very wise when you go and challenge or present your point of view, which could be different, particularly if someone in authority. How I would do or have done in the past is I would say, thank you so much for sharing. And it's great to hear your point on X. And I've heard and considered all of your points. And then you can use words like, can I suggest? Can we consider? Is it possible to think of? There might be another way to. And then you give your example or your thoughts, what you've written, etc. Rather than kind of come saying, that's wrong. I know this is right. I read it here, because that just puts someone's back up. Give suggestions as if it's like there are other ways we can work this out. There might be another solution to kind of work out the team timetable. So I think it's and often a way to get someone else to kind of challenge what they're saying is to ask questions which lead from your own research. So say, for example, someone said, no, we're going to start work at 9. Then you can ask questions like, have you considered that the trains don't start until 8:45? Have you considered that, people may need to drop their children off at 8:20? Have you thought about? So you ask questions to get the person themselves to realize that their thought process and pattern is actually not quite as secure or complete or correct as they thought it was. So you actually get the person to question their own thing and work out that what they've said or decided, there's a different way around it by using questions.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you for that wonderful answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
For the audience, we'd love you to note down whatever you want to ask Leanne, because we're going to have 20 minutes exclusively for that. Just note down your questions in the chat box as we chat right now. Okay, Leanne, you call yourself, and we know you as a speaking and accent reduction coach. Now, in a multilingual audience like us, how would you work on accent reduction? In fact, isn't accent something individualized? Would you like to change accents?
Yeah, so when I've done accent reduction work, there's 2 parts. There's either accent reduction or accent softening. Okay.
Right.
Now,
Right.
accent reduction is what you'll see actors do. So say, for example, there's a guy from London, Idris Elba, who's got a very British accent. He'll go to the States and speak with an American accent. So he's reduced his British accent to make it American. So I think that if the money is right and it's for an acting job or it's something like that, and they've asked you, we want you to speak it this way for a certain time, then do it. Okay, if the pound is pretty, do it. But in regards to if you're just trying to secure a regular job, you're not an actor, you're not a dancer, etc., I think accent softening would be the route I'd like to go for, and that's my stance. I've worked with actors that have to change because it has to fit a particular character, and they're acting anyway, so they're not changing themselves, they're changing to suit a character, a fake character. But in regards to yourself, if you're going to try and go for a job in London, in America, or wherever where English may be the key speaking language, I suggest accent softening. So that may mean things like you need to slow down when you speak. You need to change the rhythm that you speak in, the pauses, the timing. You need to play about with that. And the way you articulate a word, like say, for example, I've worked with a few French people and they all say the word. So the word clothes, it's said like that. But whenever I speak to them, whenever we do the accent softening, they say clothes. And that's, it's totally wrong, you know. So things like that, just learning how to sharpen up the articulation, really have a strong grasp of the vowels, manipulation, pacing, tone, etc. So I am a strong supporter of accent softening. So you never lose yourself, because your accent is your identity for who you are, where you're born, your schooling, all of this type of things.
Right. That sounds awesome. So can we have another accent from you?
I mainly always sound like myself. I usually work with other people who have a loads of accents. Because I usually just have my own voice when I'm doing voiceover stuff. So let me think of one. Leighanne, Amaritis. That's Welsh. So here from him, that's Welsh.
Nice.
So I don't do, I'm not that good at doing accents, because mainly when I do voiceover stuff, it's just my voice, a little smoother, a little younger, a little older. And I work with other people who have a range of accents because they speak English as a second or third foreign language. So that obviously comes with a number of different accents. So I love it. I think accents are a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Especially you mentioned France.
Yes.
In France, you get to hear a lot of accents, especially because the H is silent.
Yes.
So alu, it's not hello, it's alu.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting to hear that too.
Definitely.
Okay, Leighanne, how do you warm up? You've given tips on, warming up for an assignment. Suppose one has a speaking assignment.
Yeah.
How would one go about warming up for that?
Now, warming up, I think before you even start talking in the morning, I think you should just gently hum, like, just very low in the back of your throat. And then obviously you can start warming up like la, 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 la. They're almost like they're the scales that singers use. Other things that you can use are tongue twisters. So red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. So you say them at a slow pace and then you speed up. Other things as well, how you can warm up is actually drinking. I'm not a fan of drinking like cold water, even when it's like a hot sunny day in London. I always think you should warm up your voice with either a hot drink or kind of hot water with cold on the top, doing natural products like that, putting cucumbers in there, chia seeds, a bit of lime, these things as well, before you even start talking. And I think as well, when you need to warm up, the way to protect your voice is never whisper, never shout, always talk in your middle range register of your voice, because whispering damages the vocal cords. You've got two little very thin vocal cords that vibrates that gives you your voice, and then when you shout they vibrate very, very quickly. So when you do these two extremes, it aggravates the two vocal cords, which can produce nodules and cysts and things like that. So I think in regards to warm up, do tongue twisters, start reading quietly, hum, do larin. Those are the main things that I would say. Just read something out loud very quietly first, and then getting louder and louder, definitely.
You said that vocal cords get damaged when we whisper?
Yeah, if you do it for a long term, not just like if you just whisper, just now. But if you are in a job where you often have to whisper, I don't know, you could be a spy or something. If you're doing whispering for a long term, you're changing the shape and how the vocal cords naturally work, and particularly when you shout as well. So no whispering, no shouting, because over a long period of time, they can damage your vocal cords. And if you're working in an environment where there's, if you smoke yourself, for sure, and then if you're in an environment which is smoky or fumes or gassy, etc., you're breathing those in, and it'll go through your vocal cords, which will eventually damage it over long term.
Okay. Now, coupled with this, we have something called vocal variety, where we raise and lower our voices, right? Can you give a demonstration of, do you have anything available right now where vocal variety could be done? Let's say Costa Coffee. You had a beautiful ad of Costa Coffee.
Oh yeah, I had Costa Coffee. I've got another one as well. So vocal variety could be like mixture of high, low, and speed as well. So I can give you a read of one. So it could be, I'll do one for Tesco's at the moment because I've got that one up. So it says this, and I'll play with speed and volume on these two. So listen out for speed and volume. So, two of the most supersized supermarkets are expected to start closing between midnight and 6 a.m. soon, and there are suspicions the policy will be rolled out to others. The move is a response to the fact that overnight customer numbers are so low in some branches that stores are not covering the costs of staying open around the clock. These decisions reflect the fact that shopping habits have changed dramatically over the last 6 years, with families no longer doing a big shop at the weekend.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you are going to get more clientele with that for sure.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed Costa Coffee. And what you read out was, at Costa Coffee, it's not just about how you pour a latte. Being part of the Costa family means having the skill and the attitude and the pride to do your job well every day. In this, you had a beautiful play of the ups and the downs, which we really enjoyed. And I'd advise the audience to, I think it's on your...
on my demo.
On
my
your
website. Yeah, on my website, you can hear that one. Yeah.
Right. Okay, coupled with this comes a question to one's mind. A lot of people insure their voices. So what can one do to take care of one's voice if that is an asset?
Yeah, I think everyone's voice is an asset because it's the only voice that you have in life. You know, you can't get another one, you know. And I think definitely things to protect your voice is, like what I've said earlier, don't shout, don't whisper, and also things about your overall general health. So I know I love fizzy drinks when I was a kid, but fizzy drinks will eventually damage your voice because of, you know, there's so many different chemicals in there. It's not good for your vocals at all. And avoid things like, I mean, I love cheese, but when I need to record a voiceover or do a speaking class or an interview, things like yogurts, cottage cheese, milk, they leave like a mucus on your throat, okay, which is going to actually change the sound of your voice when you need to record. And sometimes, I don't know if you've had like a thick Greek yogurt and you have to cough a lot because you're trying to shift the mucus off of your vocal cords. Think of the times we've had the flu or a bad cold and you're constantly coughing. That's what dairy can do, sit a thick mucus on your vocal cords, and you're constantly coughing to move it. And that coughing is going to aggravate the vocal cords, which can affect the smoothness of it and produce nodules and bumps on them, which it's very difficult in surgery to remove those. So I would say if you're going to record, I'm not saying don't eat dairy, I'm just saying if you're going to record, do an interview, etc., use your voice for a big interview at work, etc., avoid dairy for the 24 hours before. Things like drinking hot, or don't drink freezing cold water, drink hot teas, warm waters, because these help your vocal cords to relax. As well, your overall physical health needs to be very good, because yes, you can have a great voice, but if you've got other illnesses happening, your voice is the first thing that tells that your body is sick. So when you've got a cold, you've got a headache, your voice, it comes through in your voice when you don't feel 100%. So really look after mental health, your physical health, all of that stuff. And I also think it depends on which continent. In London, it's mainly cold all the time. If you're in a place where it's very windy, like it is here in London, I would say if you can, wear like a scarf, because this actually protects your neck as well from getting drafts and stuff like that. It helps me. Pavarotti used to wear a scarf all the time. So if he wore one, I'm going to wear one too. Yeah, those are the main key things. Be careful what you eat, be careful what you drink. I mean, I love spicy food, okay? I've got a Jamaican background, but when you need to record or do an interview, sometimes it depends how your tummy works. You know, if you get an acid reflux, the acid is running back and sitting on your vocal cords, and acid is not good to be sitting on your vocal cords. Yes, in your tummy, but not on your vocal cords. Over time, this acid reflux will damage the quality of your vocal cords. So be careful what you eat and what reaction it does to your body, particularly when you need to do long recordings, interviews, you've got a big team meeting to do, etc. So you've got to be careful what you eat and drink. It's all kind of works together.
Okay. You told us about training your voice, like humming, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So those would be included in training exercises for the voice?
Definitely. When I'm helping people to do, I've got a course where we talk about how to have a strong voice. It's definitely things like humming, doing the scales, and reading out documents for a long period of time, playing with speed, variation, and sound, and things like that. So we'll definitely work on things like that to train the voice. The voice or the vocal cords, like your body, like if you go gym, it's a muscle that can be trained, you know?
Would you like to try something with us? Is there anything which can be done in a group?
So what we could do in a group, we could do a tongue twister, actually. I'm just going to pull one up. We could do a tongue twister, and this helps you to improve your articulation. So first, we'll do it very slowly all together, and then we could speed it up. And this helps you to have variation. I'm just going to pull up this tongue twist. I'm going to share the screen so everybody can read it out loud. It might be better if people... I don't know if you want people to take their mics off, but everyone's mic will kind of pull it. So I think the one that I want to do is this one. I'm going to pull this one up. So, okay. Right. So I'm going to just share my screen with everybody so that you can see the one that I'm reading. Okay, so the one that I'm saying that we can do, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, is the one highlighted. Just going to move this up. I'm going to just show you this highlighted one.
Some of them we've done as children, yeah.
Yeah. So this one here, so you say it just kind of slow. So a big baby buggy with rubber buggy bumpers. Okay, so you've got it really nice and slow. So with that, you get comfortable with the words, the correct articulation, pace, and the intonation, and the inflection you give onto the words. So you do it once. A big baby buggy with rubber buggy bumpers. Okay, you got it at speed one.
Buggy with rubber buggy bumpers.
Okay, and then you'll go one more time, a little bit faster. So a big baby buggy with rubber buggy bumpers. Yeah, and then a little bit faster, and then you go big baby buggy with rubber buggy bumpers. But the faster you go, you can you deteriorate sometimes the articulation quality. That's why I always train my my friends to start off slowly, bit by bit, and then improve and increase. Definitely. So these are some of the ones that I work through, like double bubble gum, bubbles double. That one's one I often use and stuff like that. So if you want someone in the audience to try one, that would be good.
Anupam, would you like to try?
The third one?
Yeah.
Anyone you like.
Anyone.
Okay. Double bubble gum, bubbles double. Double bubble gum, the bubbles double. Double bubble gum, 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 bubbles double. That's all.
Good job.
Good job. Really
well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Anupam, and thank you, Leighanne.
Well done. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing now. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep on jumping from so many aspects of your, life, which I've been exploring. So what's the most valuable training you feel you offer the corporates? in the corporate sector, which
Mhm.
aspect do you offer, which is lapped up by them or picked up very quickly?
I think because a lot of the corporate women I work with are very busy and they
Mhm.
need a result quickly, I think when I've been working with them to improve their speaking voice within 5 days, I feel that that has helped them a lot because we work through all of the key parts that I usually work on in different separate courses. So we work through mindset, speaking, how to speak with a strong voice. We look at planning and preparation and thought process when you're speaking. We look at actually hating your own voice. And we look at as well the difference between eye contact and eye connection, which is very key in the corporate situation, because that can bring in trust and a connection, or it can just kind of close the whole deal, the job, the promotion, all of these things.
Right, right. So what is the difference between eye contact and eye connection, Leighanne?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. So on my podcast, I had someone who's been a speaker for about 25, 30 years who explained to me the difference because I had not really had the difference myself. I just assumed that they were the same. But okay, so eye contact is what you'll do when you're in a group face to face with people. So I can just kind of give you eye contact, give you the point, and then kind of move on. But I didn't
Mhm.
really give you the contact there, did I, Anusha? But eye connection is this. So it'd be, Anusha, I really love that you appreciate fine art, and I can see that you've got the Mona Lisa behind you. What do you think of yourself in regards to being beauty, just like the Mona Lisa?
Wow,
Do you see the
that's got
difference?
glory.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
that's
I'm
got
giving
glory.
you some type of emotion, a connection between me and you, and I'm holding that eye contact. So it moves from just eye contact to be an eye connection. And it's not just an eye connection, it's a thought, it's a feeling, it's a heart, it's a all type of thing.
It's the eye content also. I think it's what you say also which makes a lot of difference, right? Right.
Definitely.
Okay, Leighanne, you've written something on interviews. So,
Mhm.
can you give us some hot tips for interviews? Something really which can make us or break us?
Yeah. Okay. For interviews, be prepared. Be prepared for anything, what they may say, what they may ask you about your previous job, what they ask you, what can you bring to the current job. Always be prepared. Okay. And then as well, practice what it is that how you express about yourself. Nobody knows you like you. So when they
Mhm.
ask questions, answer the question set. But if you feel that there's something else of value that you can give in a short amount of time, give that, and show the relatability of it. So I think practice a lot, get a lot of feedback as well. And
Mhm.
even if you go for an interview and you don't get that job, find out the reasons why. Was it the way you express yourself? Was it qualifications? Was it some other, I don't know, reference from before? Always find out the reason and take those feedbacks and build yourself up. Nothing is negative. It's always the way you kind of look at something. So take everything and think, I'm going to use this as improvement. So yeah,
Okay,
there's so
okay.
much.
So practice, expect the unexpected, and take feedback as to what is it that got you or did not get you what you were supposed to be getting.
Definitely,
Right?
definitely.
Abiba, would you like to ask any question at this point? Or would you like to ask later? Abiba? Okay, we'll come to her later. What tips would you give to women in business as to how they should build their businesses? One, of course, you give them the training, of course, in speaking. Beyond
Yeah.
that,
Mhm. So beyond that, sort of, I think have a plan for your business, but make your plan flexible because business
Mhm.
changes. So I can imagine people who planned a business in 2019 did not plan for the lockdown. So always have a
yeah.
plan, have a goal that you need to reach either financially or meeting with a client or an action that needs to be done each week. Um, get get some mentors, whether it's ones who you have a weekly conversation or monthly conversation, or it could be people you follow online and they give you free advice from their website, their Instagram. You need mentors, you need a plan, you need to be flexible with your plan, you need to constantly be learning and training and growing. Read every single day, build your memory. Like walking and physical exercise, going to the gym is great for your body. Reading is exercise for your mind. You can learn in one book someone's 10 years experience in just one book, and you can read that 15 or 10 minutes a day. Get support. You can get a lot of free help from, you can get people at university who are brilliant on LinkedIn or brilliant on Instagram, and you can say to them, okay, I'm going to give you this deal. I need my Instagram page built up. If you want to work for me at 6 months, and if you can prove your value by generating income, the income that you bring in for all of your marketing work, I will put on your CV that you've worked with me for a 6 months apprenticeship, and then if the extra money you've made, that will be covering your expenses. So things like that. There's always a way. Always think of like, okay, because one person cannot do everything. You may think you can, but you'll probably actually damage the business or the speed that you can grow if you do everything yourself. Delegate. Just like Richard Branson, he delegates a lot. That's why he's so great at stuff. He delegates a lot.
Yeah, I mean, keep with your key fortes, whatever you're best at, and the rest, I think you should delegate down.
Delegate,
I
definitely.
think we've done, I have hordes more to ask you, but I think we might be running out of time.
Yeah.
So I'd love to give the audience an opportunity to question. Rohit, can you read out the questions which the audience has written already in the chat box, and the rest can write more?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have one question. Would you advise someone to work on making their voice sound the way they would like to make it sound to possibly make a greater impact, or just stick with their natural voice and make most of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so it depends on where you need to use your voice. If you are going to be a lecturer speaking in front of 200-300 students, and it could be that you're a very powerful and detailed tutor on your subject knowledge, but it's your delivery that could need a bit of adjustment or improvement. I'd say in those circumstances, yes, work on your pronunciation, your articulation, your pace, because it's just little tweaks that are needed so you can sound much clearer. Okay. When the question says just stick with it, it depends. Will it affect your promotion, your progression in your career if you just stick with your natural speaking voice? Do you know what I mean? And your natural speaking voice is probably one that you more so speak with your family and friends. When anyone goes to the work environment or speaking to people they don't know, your voice naturally changes because you want to make sure this person who you do not know can clearly understand you on the first time. Whereas with your friends and family, you don't have to be so expressing every single word to the certain point. It's very different. So I think it depends on the circumstance and where it is you need to speak and what impact it has on your life, your career, and those that need to hear you.
So the question I posed was in general, like for instance, making a speech sometimes, for instance, making a pitch to someone, or in general, things that I do in my life to sell particular things, for instance, presentations and things like that. So in such situations, would you suggest that I make use of a single baritone because it comes off as more impactful, or I let my natural voice do the talking because it would allow for greater modulation? So that was the sort of direction I was taking with the question.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that clarity. I think like when you say that, okay, you're going to be you speak for doing presentations, business communications, regardless of the product, whether you're selling a pen or a computer or a train, people are not buying those products. They buy into you, you know. And if you change your voice or how you deliver yourself, you're not really being your authentic, genuine self. And that's what people want. So I think make sure that you're speaking so you can be clearly understood by people who may not know you. They may not know that you say a filler word, or you may say the word "are" or but I think very clearly articulate the value that you give, because people buy into you regardless of whatever it is you're selling or explaining or teaching. They buy into you, because if you always remember your favorite teacher, you remember their personality, how they spoke to you. It wasn't necessarily they were the best at maths or they were the best at English. It was how they communicated about that topic.
I think feeling makes a lot of difference. The feel that you put in your voice, the intensity and the sincerity does come through. I hope that helps. Anupam has asked a question. Some people cannot lower down their voice in spite of trying. How can we exercise that? She'll be glad to know that whispering she doesn't need to do because it's going to take her away from her goal. But
Yeah.
Leighanne, how can she lower the voice of the person she's trying to help?
So lower the voice of someone she's trying to speak to, or her own?
So let's say her own. Let's say, for example, we are
My
giving
own
her.
example, my voice shrills at points, and it's not very soothing to the ears of other people who are listening. But people think that I'm shouting out loud, but for me, that's my natural voice, and
Oh.
it happens so, and it's not very soothing for the others' ears. So I wonder whether that can be exercised, and if yes, then how?
So you're talking about you want to reduce the volume. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
loudness. Yeah, somehow loudness. I mean, the loudness in my voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes naturally to me. Actually, that comes naturally to me. It takes me too much effort that I cannot speak slow. And people think that I'm shouting.
Softer, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. So with that, I think it's got two parts in to reduce the volume. So when you speak to people, is it usually face to face or on the phone or on the laptop?
Mostly, for example, I'm a teacher.
Yes.
So mostly it happens that my voice is reaching to another 10 rooms.
Yeah.
They are getting disturbed.
Yeah.
So you understand the problem, genuine problem. This happens with many other people too. In the school, we have to tell them, you please lower down your voice. So that's the very genuine problem we face in school.
I understand that. Yeah, I was going to say, because I know someone who's a teacher and they've got quite a loud projected voice because of the work that they do. And it's hard to lower your volume because you're naturally switched on to think, okay, I need to speak to all of these 30 or 40 or 50 kids, however, 100, whoever's in the room to me. And there's someone that I know who does have a loud voice projection. It's going to be something of, it's going to be two things. It's going to be a mental reminder for yourself to say, let me just speak as if the person's right in front of me, because that would help. And because the thing is, that's how you naturally talk, even though you're not shouting. That is the level that your voice is set at, etc. Oh, a lot of people have that problem. So it's going to be a hard one to just say, okay, speak quietly. You can train your voice to speak quietly, but it would be doing a lot of kind of vocal exercises where you say the same sentence. So you start from lower, higher, and then where you normally are talking. So I think, Anupam, I think you asked this question. So you'd be saying like, you know, I talk like this voice. I talk like this voice. I talk like this voice. I always talk like this voice. So you can move to about, say, like 3 different or 4, but you'd have to practice and train yourself to be able to move swiftly between your voice register. That's what I would say. It'd be a training thing and as well a mental shift. You've always got to be on mentally. So like, okay, I've always been told that I speak too loud or articulate very loud, and you've got to be able to move down in your voice register. That's what I would say. It's a training one.
Okay. That's Anupam. Did that help? I hope it did.
Yeah, I of course. The exercise, that way she has told, we have to practice. I have to practice that, of course. Thank you.
Yeah. I have a question which has come to me. The next one, Rohit, please take of Disha's. But Abipa Saxena wants to know, what are the steps we can take to improve our accent? Now, that's part of what we talked during the speech, during the interview, but I'm sure this is more specific. Improving our accent, Abipa, means you want to develop an accent which is non-Indianized, or what exactly do you mean by that? Improving our accent or diction or pronunciation. So I think she's not able to hear me. Leighanne, let's take it to be accent itself.
Okay, so to improve your accent, it depends on where you need to speak. So to make it more British or American, Steps you can follow, things you can do practically in your home, is to listen to a lot of the accents that you want to imitate. So listen to a lot of podcasts or YouTube videos and actually stopping it and articulating the sentence that you've just heard. Also things as well, like watching shows that have the accent that you desire. And improving as well is making sure that your pronunciation fits the accent that you desire. So if you want a British accent, it's totally different from how English is pronounced in America or Australia. So if it depends on as well, particularly if you've had English as a second foreign language, where the base root of your teacher was. So if they've taught you from an American accent, you're going to sound like an American accent. So I think things to improve would be imitating great voices on podcasts, YouTubes, practicing yourself for 5 or 10 minutes a day, and actually watching yourself articulate, because some of these small tweaks to improve your accent is basically your breathing. Some people are not breathing correctly, their speed, they may be talking way too fast, because to speak with an accent, particularly American or British accent, it's quite a slow language. There's no speed in it, quite slow, so you can actually enjoy all of the words and articulate all of the words. So it could be a thing of changing your pace, your tone, your articulation, your rhythm. But I definitely think you can do practice 5 minutes, 10 minutes each day, doing things like tongue twisters, speaking in the mirror, listening to accents that you want to imitate or sound a bit more like, and actually saying those sentences out loud for 5 or 10 minutes each day. To change your voice, improve your accent, it's little bits of work done often. It's not like a whole 10-hour session on a Monday, you've got it. It's little bits often.
Thank you for that. You know, in our setup, I think a pronunciation is really important because there are some words which are said in a particular way. And if they are not said in that particular way, it's difficult for the other person who is not from the Indian background maybe to be able to understand. Though at the same time, I feel the Indian accent is one of the clearest accents we have because of our native language. That's my take on it. The next question, Rohit, can you please take? Disha's, I think.
Yeah, so the next question is, my work demands conducting a lot of meetings to the effect that I end up talking for close to 9 to 10 hours at a stretch. What would you recommend for relaxing vocal cords in such a situation?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Wow, that's a big job. Yeah, so you're talking for 9 to 10 hours on stretch. Okay. Right. So to take okay, so when it's time for break time, or if there's a chance in between calls, if you can leave your desk, but actually commit to not talking. So you're going to just be like, just not talking, because the not talking would actually give your voice a rest. Things like as well, massaging your throat as well would probably help, because 9 to 10 hours, that's a long time to be talking. Can understand there's definitely some jobs that really do need you to put in those hours. For relaxing them, massage your neck, drink, as I said to you, hot, or if you can't do boiling hot water, warmish drinks as well, because that will help naturally relax them. So you're going to have to do a lot of drinking of hot things, and then massaging your neck, and actually just being silent, because that is a lot of hours just to be speaking. I know there's different jobs that need you to speak for that amount of time, but those are the 3 things that kind of stick to mind. And when you've left work, try not to be like on the phone and talking to friends and all of these things. Maybe try and just text them or something, because that's a long time. You must be quite tired as well, because that amount of talking, because talking is an activity, it's an exercise. You must be you have to work as well on your endurance and stamina physically, so you can maintain that level of talking hours rate on a daily basis too. So work on your physical health too.
Okay. So all of it really boils down to a lot of physical, mental, and emotional well-being. I think it all comes together.
Definitely.
And the physical side is something we tend to ignore, in terms of we don't really take too many warm drinks. We're happy with the fizzy drinks that we take care of. That's there. Rohit, can we have the next question, please? There was one more, I think.
I guess this was it.
Okay, then we get a chance. We still have, I think, anybody else want to ask any other question to Leighanne? Because if not, we have time. We have around 2-3 minutes, so maybe we can just ask her one more question. Rohit, just ask the audience if they'd like to ask a question.
Yeah, anyone. You may unmute yourself and
May
ask.
I ask a question, please?
Yes, please. Could we have your video on also?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Smita. I often do a lot of anchoring on stage, but I tend to lose my voice also. And then there are periods, of 15 days where I absolutely lose my voice and I can't speak. And it just happens. I have been listening to all these things, and it's when you spoke about maintaining your health. I'm asthmatic, so I need to take in a lot of inhalers. So those tend to sometimes affect. But then I have to choose between a career in speaking and health, and I do want to keep both. So, do you have any tips on maintaining that voice clarity? Even when you're on medication or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm not medically qualified, and thank you so much for your question, Smita. So you have asthma, which you need to use asthma pumps as well to keep it under control. Okay, yeah. So now I think, and you're doing anchor work, so for talks and interviews and stuff, you're doing a lot of the hosting part. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mostly on stage, mostly hosting events.
Hosting events. And do you get to use a microphone, or are you constantly just using your own tone volume of your voice?
I get to use a mic.
Yeah. I think it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be possible. So you're doing the best that you can with managing your asthma with medication, and then your own kind of well-being and health, like your physical health outside of being asthmatic. Are you improving in that day by day by going for walks, checking what you're eating and stuff like that? Because some of it is your voice is actually linked to your endurance. So a way to improve your endurance and then check that you can actually do this is things that I use so I can grow in stamina and endurance is I may jog on the spot, saying a line out loud or reading a book out loud, which helps you to develop strength while speaking. Now, it's something that singers do. So this is something that Beyonce used to do so that she can sing and dance at the same time without sounding breathless. So she would jog on the spot while singing, which will get you the strength much quicker, because when you sing, you're using a much deeper part of your vocal cords. But if you can jog or walk and talk at the same time, whether you're on the phone to your friend or you're just giving yourself a voice note, that would help you with your endurance and stamina. And then when you don't need to speak, stop speaking, because rest is very key. If you use your voice as your dominant tool and that's your money maker. So try to rest it when you're not doing the speaking.
Right.
I'll definitely try this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Definitely. This is something new.
So we can take one last. Did that help you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. So we can take one last question. Rohit, there's a question in the chat box, please.
Yeah, so it's a question from Abhipsha Saxena. I start speaking very naturally and beautifully, but as I move forward, I get anxious and start speaking very fast. So how can I improve it?
Yeah. Now, this question sounds a little bit about mindset shift. So before you even start talking, you've got to tell your mind that I'm here, I've got value to say, and people want to hear. And when you say that I get anxious and start speaking very fast, the people who listen to you, they're not actually really that worried about, oh, listen to her voice, she's talking too fast. They want to hear, can you give them all the key information in that short time and session so they can take that and go off and go and do what you say. So a lot of the stuff is us telling ourselves, oh no, I'm going too fast. Oh no, they don't like my voice. Oh no, it's the imposter syndrome voice in your own head. So how I would say to combat that voice in your own head, because it's when you write, I got anxious and I start speaking fast, no one can speed you up. No one can give you the anxiety. It comes from within. So how to combat that negative voice that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable and anxious? Okay. Firstly, Pretend that everybody in the audience or on the podcast call is your friend, your best friend. You're at coffee or wherever you and your best friends go. Pretend that it's all your friends. Secondly, when that negative voice comes up and says, you can't speak, nobody wants to hear from you, you ask that negative voice, give your negative voice a name. So my one's called Sasha. So when that negative voice pipes up and said, you can't talk, nobody wants to hear from you, I'll say, Sasha, what evidence do you have that I can't talk, that no one wants to hear from me, no one will buy my products and stuff? And of course, Sasha has no evidence to present, like in the court of law. She has no evidence to present, so she's just going to be quiet. And every time that negative voice comes up and up, ask the negative voice, give it a name and ask it for the evidence, and it doesn't have any. So then slowly but surely, you're going to move on from that negative voice that says you can't do anything. And honestly, you may think people are thinking you don't sound good, you're talking too fast. They're probably thinking about they've got to go and do the washing, they've got to get the kids from school, all these lot of different things that are going on in their mind while listening to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that Abipa asked 2-3 questions and she got them answered really beautifully, as did our entire audience. So Leighanne, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. We've really got a variety of aspects shared from you, and we've got a lot of our questions answered and loads more unanswered, but that we'll save for another day. I'd ask Rohini, if she's there, to please deliver the vote of thanks. Rohit, is Rohini there?
Rohini had to drop off. I'll do that. I'll play the video.
Finally, yeah. Can we have the vote of thank you, please?
Yeah, I'll just do that. So thank you so much for attending today's session. It's been a pleasure listening to all the delightful insights that we had from this session. And we do have certain people to thank for making this entire session possible. So I'll quickly play a small video so that we get to know the people who worked behind the scenes for helping us make this possible. Let me know if you can't see my screen or hear.
Yeah, it's sharing.
Is it visible?
No, nothing. The
do-
screen came on, but no content came on.
I'll do that.
Leighanne, we were right on dots.
Perfect.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful, 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 Rohit. That was beautifully done. And I'll just come to Leighanne and say thank you so much, Leighanne. Great timing, great show. Looking forward to having our people keep in touch with you. And for that, I'm always there to put them across to you. And anytime you have time again, we'll maybe catch up with something else which is different. Bonne chance, good luck, and bye-bye to all of you. Thank you again.